All right, so this is Aaron Charlton again. This is my second video where I'm going to show kind of how Google works. We all want to be higher on Google, at least if you have a business, especially if you have a local business or a niche business. You want to be higher on Google so people will notice you more. Um, I'm going to go ahead and start with the old school kind of traditional component of Google, which is, the thing that we think about the most oftentimes, and it's the organic results. As I scan through these organic results, one thing that jumps out at me is that there's no actual doctors in here. Well, this is a hospital, but I mean, this is a referral website, it's a review website, this is a physician directory, another directory with reviews, insurance website. There's no doctors. So none of the doctors have been able to compete and get into this space. You can, as a doctor, you can break into this space, especially like for your specialty. But in this case, all these big mega websites have kind of displaced any doctors that had a hope of getting in here. But let's still talk about it. How do you rank high on Google Organic? Um, so this has like two main components, and there are additional components that come into play if you're local, because if Google senses or detects thinks that you're doing the user is doing a local search, then there are sort of other variables that come into play. But I'm not going to focus on those because those are the same things that you need to do to rank high in the local pack up here. So it's not worth worrying a whole bunch about how does organic work here in, local SEO when a lot of the same stuff applies up here. So we'll focus on the things that are unique and specific to Google search, organic search. So, how does Google decide which results to show? I mean, this is the number one thing that Google does right here is show these organic results. This other stuff up here is kind of add-ons, it's kind of newer, but this is like what they were started for is like just an old school search engine. So there are two main components, and we could get really deep into the weeds with a lot of the technical stuff about ranking high on Google, but I don't want to do that right now. I've found often you don't really have to get too into the weeds. You just need to focus on the big components. I've usually had success with doing that. So this is what you need to know. There are two main components. Number one is relevance. So Google is not going to show, or they're going to try not to show results that are irrelevant. So you want to signal to Google that your web page, and I say web page, not website, because if you notice, these are web pages. This is a web page, a specific page on the website that it's linking to. So Google does care about your overall website, but they like to serve a web page to their users. So you need to really focus on your individual web page. So this web page here, it's relevant because I'm looking for doctors near me, and this is showing me. I mean, that's even in the title here. You see that doctors near me, and then it has the town name where I'm currently located. So that's definitely relevant. The other thing is they need some sense of the authority of the website. The number one, so let me take it back a step and talk about history. So when I first started surfing the web was basically like in the 90s. So before Google, and I was a teenager or whatever. And you would use all these search engines, and there were several of them. I can't remember all the names, Lycos, I don't know, Yahoo. There were so many different ones. And you would type in your query, and it would give you 5 million results in random order. Like there was no rhyme or reason. And the only thing that they had to look at were just these relevance factors. Well, Google came along and introduced a way to measure authority. So, how do you measure the authority of a web page or a website? It comes down to what's called a backlink. Okay. So, every time a website links to your website, they give you some authority. So, for example, New York Times, it, they have huge domain authority. They write an article about you and then they link back to your website. That gives you a lot of authority with Google. And so that's where your authority comes from, is those backlinks. That's the main component. Throughout the years, I've had heard many discussions from Google and elsewhere that the backlinks were going away or they don't matter anymore. I've never seen that in practice, and I personally feel like that's illogical for Google to ever go away from backlinks, because the results we had before they started measuring backlinks were just like terrible. I mean, there was no sense of quality in the rankings. So once they started looking at backlinks, like, the idea, if you think about it, the idea is great, right? If all these sites are linking to this one page, like Wikipedia, for example, everybody's linking back to this Wikipedia page, so that page must be very authoritative. So in order for you to rank high, you need to have all these sites and things, blogs and news articles and things linking back to your website and directing users there, showing Google like this is an authoritative website. So that's authority. Now let me go back to relevance. So relevance is keyword relevance, right? So I typed in doctor near me. I'm going to go into this website that showed up number one. I'm just going to do a search on this page for doctor. Doctor comes up 89 times on this page, okay? So 89 times. So it's keyword relevance. The thing that I searched for is the thing that is on this web page. Let me search for the word near. Near comes up 3 times. See nearby right here. Let me find it the third time. So it's not a lot, but guess what? Google can match up city names and things, zip codes. So I'm located in Mesa. Mesa comes up 39 times. Look at this. All these doctors that it's trying to match me with, that a lot of them, well, a lot of them are other cities, not Mesa. But Mesa does come up 39 times. So a lot of these are Mesa doctors. And even in the FAQ, I mean, they're really stuffing the keywords in here, which you can get carried away with and it can be a problem. But even in the FAQ here, it's like Mesa, 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 Mesa. I mean, that's totally unnecessary, right? This doesn't really help the user out, but this is to signal to Google, like, hey, this is really relevant. And so ZocDoc, which honestly, like, to be frank, it's kind of a spam website. And so, who would have guessed that they would stick all the keywords, this is obviously programmatic, right? So this is programmatically done where, the software, it would switch this out. If I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, it would say Scottsdale, Scottsdale, Scottsdale on this same page, right? So, well, but they would just change, the URL would be slightly different, but really, for their intents and purposes, it's the same page, right? But just they have the software automatically swap out the keywords so it can be relevant. Wow, look at all this. Mesa, Mesa, Mesa. So you can see they're really stuffing the keywords in there. And let's see, Arizona. So I'm gonna get AZ. AZ comes up 40 times. So you can see again, and even these zip codes, right? Like I'm in 85205. So that doesn't come up. Well, actually, it might be in 15 right now. It doesn't come up, but Google can kind of know that these zip codes that are in there are close. So if I search for 852, there's 13. You can see up here, there's 13 of them that are in that same area. So, like, basically what they're doing here is they're really like stuffing their keywords in this web page. That can get carried away, but obviously, since they're ranking number one, I can see that they didn't take it too far. Otherwise, Google would have penalized them somehow and they would have sunk down in the rankings. So, this is relevance. Now, like I said, back in the day before Google, relevance was the only factor the search engines had to go by. They didn't have an authority ranking. And so people just stuff these keyword. I mean, keyword stuffing goes way back. And so whatever website was most stuffed with keywords was the one that would show up. And so no wonder the websites seemed spammy back then, because that's what you got, was just the most spam rich website. So again, quick review. ZocDoc is killing it because they're stuffing a lot of keywords in there. It could relate to backlinks as well. So other websites may be linking to them. I'm not going to dive super deep into backlinks on this, but I want to do that in another video because you can actually, well, I'll show you really quick. I might as well show you really quick. So I'm going to actually copy this link, and then I'm going to use a backlink tool. So just search for backlink checker. I'm probably going to use the same one that I always use, which is this one from this unpronounceable website. I always call it Ahrefs. I'm sure that's not the right way to say it. So I'm going to search like, are people linking back to this web page? Maybe not to this exact web page, but certainly to the site they're linking. So I'm going to get an idea of what kind of links we're talking about. So these are just kind of like spammy links right here. So people aren't necessarily linking directly to that web page. But you can see there is a high domain rating. So probably people are linking, obviously people are linking to the domain. And I'm not sure what kind of links they get to their main domain. So let's go ahead and check and get an idea for how they're, obtaining their authority. Because you can see they have 1.5 million uh, backlinks, which is pretty impressive. So let's see. Backbone.js is, I don't even know what that is. Sometimes you look through here and a lot of these are just like spammy. Well, check this out. Here's a clue right here, okay? So Joshua Zeichner, MD, he has his website there, zeichnerdermatology.com. If I come over here on the right, I can see there's a link to ZocDoc to his profile that says make an appointment through ZocDoc. Okay, so that's where they're killing it on those backlinks because all these doctor websites are linking back to them and giving them that authority. And they're sort of sabotaging themselves in the process, right? Because maybe Josh Zeichner, Dr. Zeichner would maybe like his website to rank higher. Well, what happens is, he's given all that link juice to ZocDoc, and ZocDoc is just killing it because there's probably a lot of other doctors doing the same thing using their appointment setting tool. Okay, so that is going to confer what we call link juice. And so hopefully that makes sense. Just a quick explanation for what a backlink is. We can also use these tools to get ideas for backlinks, how we're going to get backlinks. So, if I'm Dr. Zeichner doing this research, I learn right off the bat, like, wow, I don't want to link to ZocDoc if I want to rank above them. So that's one thing that you learn. You may not be able to replicate um, their approach, right? Because who's gonna, use Dr. Zeichner's scheduling tool? Of course, that doesn't make sense. So he can't really apply the same technique, but there's probably some backlinks in here or on a different doctor's website that he can learn from. So that's kind of how that works. So again, Google Organic, a lot of people skip sponsored, they skip the map and they go boom right to the organic results because often that's where you can find the most credible results. So you want to rank high in the organic, and it comes down to like two big things. Number one is keyword relevance. Do you have the right keywords on your page? They should match up with the user search query. I'll show you how to do keyword research in another video, but it should match up with the user search query. Google is smart enough to understand synonyms and things, so it doesn't have to be the exact search query. It doesn't have to be in the exact order, but you just get it out there, get the content in there, get the keywords in there that people are searching for. Um, and then the other factor is the backlinks. If there's any way to get other people to link to your website. I mean, that's what, you see how this happens organically when you have an appointment tool, for example, where people can make an appointment through ZocDoc and then they add that link to their website. So then people, they're just giving away that link juice. And so that's what you need to do. You need to have the keywords on your web page that match up to the search query roughly in some form. And then you need to have the backlinks. And then you can rank high in Google Organic. Those are the big, big, big components. There's a lot of smaller ranking factors that I'm not going to get into because my goal is just to help people have a big, kind of like a bird's eye view of the search engine landscape. So that's all I've got. Let me know if you have a question or anything. I hope this is informative, and have a good day.